second school term is starting tomorrow. The Basic Education Department working to return all pupils at primary school level back to their classrooms. Let's discuss the readiness of school reopening with the Basic Education spokesperson, Mr. Elijah Mhlanga. Elijah, good morning to you. And let's just talk quickly, if we could, ahead of us discussing the second term reopening. Nice to have ENCA on your TV in the background. By the way, I just saw that. Quite weird seeing me on TV. Okay, let's talk about the first term, though. What lessons did we learn? Because I think last year, hard lockdown, there was a lot of last-minute decisions. Some of them, you even admitted, weren't necessarily right as a long-term solution, but had to be done at the time. With the knowledge of hindsight now behind us, how was the first term for your department?
Good morning, Gareth. Thank you so much. The first time went very well. We didn't have many cases of COVID-19 that would have disrupted teaching and learning. Our schools were all operational, even though we are still using the rotational approaches. But, things went as well as we thought they would. Anything can still happen because the coronavirus is around us, but we are happy with what we've experienced in the first term, and tomorrow is the commencement of the second term, and we hope that all schools are ready for that, together with parents and guardians.
Let's talk about parents quickly, if we could, Mr. Mhlanga. How has the parents' reaction been to sending their children back to class? Are we seeing an uptick of numbers of children who should be back in class actually coming back, or are we still seeing low numbers?
Well, it's difficult to track because learners are not all in school at the same time, and that's one of our biggest challenges in the sector right now. That's why there's been discussions around this matter to say what is it that we need to do. But it's difficult to track absenteeism because the learners are not coming all together in one day, as schooling has been the case ever since we've known it. But the numbers are good. In terms of the learners that are in class attending, except that the learning itself is not happening as effectively as it should, because with every group that's in school, you need to think about the one that's not in school, and when they come back, you need to check their work, and you find that they're where they were when they last came to school. So there's not as much progress as we'd like to see. That's why we are concerned about the learning losses that we are suffering in the sector at the moment due to the rotational approaches. We are mindful of the fact that we need to save lives, but at the same time we need to find a solution for education to proceed.
I was under the impression, Mr. Mhlanga, that's what the learner support interventions were for. I mean, the numbers, when you and I think, spoke about this, I think we were mid-December, you were still unpacking ideas around using radio stations, television channels, online. We can't get into the data cost discussion now, but the idea was there. Radio stations, WhatsApp, all the platforms available to reach nearly 35 million people around the country, the majority of those being pupils. Do you think the learner support interventions have been a success or still a work in progress?
No, they are there as an intervention, but not as successful as we'd like to, especially for smaller children. It's easy to talk about it and say online learning, but for a child who's in grade 1, 2, and 3, and 4, for example, the learning that they need is one that involves a teacher standing in front of them, teaching and interacting with them inside the classroom. That is the structure that we are used to. We have tried all those things, and we feel that they are not working. In fact, it's not just us. Around the world as well, when discussions are held and we listen, learn, and interact with some of our counterparts in other parts of the world, they are raising the same challenges that children want a teacher in front of them for effective learning to take place. Those additional interventions are there to support mainly those that are in secondary school, and particularly the matriculants who cannot afford to lose a day. So with them, we do all of those things because they are older and they're able to manage these devices, and they know how to get around those things. But for smaller children, it's a different story altogether. So there's still a need for a teacher to be present inside the classroom physically with them.
I think we should put class lessons on TikTok. I think we'll get a lot more children taking part in their classes. Elijah, I want to talk about the matriculants in a moment. Before I get there, I think you knew I was going to ask you about the school fees issue, not schools demanding fees from parents. I think there would be many supporters of the department saying that schools have actually been fairly accommodating with parents who've lost their jobs, lack of income, single salary households, etc. But there are still reports coming through, aren't there, where schools are not allowing children to come back to school because their parents can't afford to pay the fees. Where are we on that issue?
Yeah, that should not be the case. We have always said that the policy states that the child is not responsible for paying fees. It has to be the parent. So a school needs to address the matter with the parent or guardian. And in that process, the child must not be disadvantaged. We have communicated this position to all our schools, and we've urged them to make sure that learners' education should not be interrupted due to fees. The matter of fees can be dealt with differently while learning is continuing. If it's independent schools and other private schools, we've urged parents to also approach those schools and have a discussion, make an arrangement on how the fees will be paid in a case where family circumstances have changed and income is no longer coming through. So we need to make sure that we think about the children at the end of the day. Yes, battle with the relevant people, but leave the children out of it. They must continue to go to school. So in a case where parents are experiencing challenges, schools are preventing the learners from coming to school, we urge parents to report the matter to the district office or to contact us. We'll be able to find a way to settle the matter so that the learner is not disadvantaged any further.
Okay, well, I think that's the question many parents had for those who have been battling. Can they still try and get their children into class while they try and figure out the finances for later? Mr. Mhlanga, final question to you, as briefly as you can. I know it's always a difficult thing to do. The Second Chance Matric program. I could not imagine being a matric pupil last year, not being able to get into class. The exams were a little all over the place. The dates were changed. And then we had the matriculants who hadn't necessarily done as well as they would have liked to. We used to call them supplementary exams. Second Chance Matric program, are we on track? Where are we on this?
Yeah, we're on track. The exams for the candidates who have registered to write in the Second Chance opportunity is actually starting this month. On the 26th of May, the exam will start. So we are saying to them, you still have some time to prepare. Yes, we say so because they are not writing all the subjects. It's those that register to write a few subjects. But also for those that register to write all the subjects, they still have time to make the final touches in their preparations. We'll be able to support them. We have support material on our website and the district offices. We also have teacher centers where you can go and study quietly, but also access data there. So there is support available for them. And the website is the first port of call in terms of what you need for you to prepare adequately for the exam.
I think many parents will be happy to hear that news. I think a few terrified matriculants suddenly realized that they are going to have to study. There's no excuse not to take part in the Second Chance Matric program. Elijah Mhlanga, a pleasure speaking to you as always. I think you've settled some concerns for parents as we head into the second term of a post-COVID hard lockdown. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Basic Education spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga joining us here on ENCA.